If you've been stuck on the same climbing grade for months or years, or you just aren't making the type of progress you want, you are not alone. I was plateaued at V5 for 2 years until I started using specific training programs targeted to my individual needs. Today I'm going to show you how to design your own training program to start making tangible progress towards your goals. In my last video, I outlined my key criteria for exercise selection, so if you haven't checked that one out yet, the link's right up there. In brief though, the criteria are specificity, targeting weaknesses, balance or antagonist work, and pragmatism. I gave some good examples of each in that one, but today we're going to get even more concrete by going through my current training plan as it pertains to rock climbing. So throughout the video, I'm going to be talking a lot about sessions, which are essentially workouts with a specific focus, but you could just as easily substitute the word exercise and the applications will be the same. You can use this strategy to plan all of your different exercises, say for a full body workout. It's just that in climbing, the actual climbing sessions themselves end up taking multiple hours, and the specific isolation work is super intense on the fingers and the forearms, so it doesn't work very well to put them back to back to back. So for climbing, it makes more sense to think of separate sessions targeting a specific attribute rather than different exercises making up a full body workout. However, the principles for planning this are identical. So first I'll give you a roadmap of the overall process, and then we'll do each one step by step. So the process is this. First of all, you have to outline your goals. Then you pick your specific exercises or sessions. Then you choose sessions to target your weaknesses. Then you choose exercises or sessions for balance or antagonists. Then you schedule it all out. And finally, you auto-regulate. So I like to think about goals in two parts. First, I write down my vague desires and intentions, and then I put them into concrete goals. I want to progress as a rock climber in both lead climbing and bouldering. I've made a lot of progress over the last year, but I've noticed that a couple things are holding me back. On the boulders, I consistently get shut down by moves that require a very high level of finger strength on really small holds. And in lead climbing, I just get pumped pretty quickly and I tend to overgrip. So with that in mind, the specific goals I want to achieve over the next year are to consistently train finger strength throughout the entire year. I've only trained finger strength twice in the past and it led to huge gains in my climbing, but unfortunately I fell out of the habit. I want to target both anaerobic lactic endurance and aerobic endurance with training cycles throughout the year. I want to attempt and project all of the red circuit boulders at my gym, which is the difficulty of boulders that I can usually do about half of after some work. And then I'd also like to begin projecting at least one black circuit problem per week. Currently, I've never completed a black circuit problem at my gym. And for lead climbing, I'd like to attempt and consistently project harder grades on lead. So you may find that these goals sound a little bit odd in the way that they're phrased. However, that is quite deliberate. I like to phrase my goals as process-oriented goals rather than outcome-oriented goals. And the reason for that is quite simple. I have almost complete control over process-oriented goals and almost no control over outcome-oriented goals. I don't know exactly how many kilograms I can add to my max finger strength in 1 year, or whether I'll be able to climb a certain grade that I've never climbed before. But I do know that I can stick to my training plan, and I can force myself out of my comfort zone to try things that challenge me. So this is how I set goals which are actually achievable and not just like hypothetically realistic. The actual outcomes will be whatever they are, and I'll learn from them. So with those goals in mind, now I need to pick the most specific exercise and activities that will lead me towards those goals. Since I'm hoping to improve at bouldering and lead climbing, I'm going to need to have at least one bouldering session and one lead climbing session every week. So the bouldering session is going to be focused on projecting and sending boulders that are roughly 80% to 110% of my current maximum ability, auto-regulated mostly by my finger recovery. During the warm-ups, I focus on drilling various techniques, such as foot swaps, flags, using an open-handed grip, etc. And then as I warm up into the session, I focus just on trying hard and on really learning the nuance of movements that I'm struggling with. The lead climbing sessions will be focused on climbing boldly until I fall in order to improve both my stamina and my mental game. Meanwhile, I'll be focusing on various techniques such as shakeouts and finding rests, using heel and toe hooks, and trying to utilize more twist locking rather than climbing straight on, as well as practicing tactics such as route reading and climbing speed. And depending on the week, I'll probably do one more session of either of them, sort of depending on my schedule, how tired I feel, and which friends are available to climb with. So that specific work makes the basis of my training plan. Now I'm going to add in sessions that will target my weaknesses. The first of which is finger strength. There are many ways to train finger strength. Some people like to be really climbing specific with it and work on boulder and board problems that are really fingery. However, I've never had really good luck with this. I've been climbing for years, and for whatever reason, my finger strength is just very much lagging compared to other people who climb at my grade. Maybe it's because I'm tall and flexible and just find ways to take weight off my fingers, or maybe I just don't know how to try hard on boulders, but either way, it hasn't worked to make my fingers very strong, so I'm going to focus on it very directly via the ultimate isolation for fingers, which is the hangboard. So at home, I don't actually have a permanent hangboard setup, but I do have a good setup for arm lifting, which is where you use a grip implement in order to deadlift weights off the floor. So this one's really good because it both is a specific isolation for the fingers, and I can knock out these sessions really quickly at home. I'm gonna have 2 weekly sessions, each consisting of a short warm-up, 1 to 2 gradually heavier sets, and then 1 set of rest pause reps at a maximal weight until failure. The first session of the week will be the 4-finger half crimp position, and the second session of the week will be in the 3-finger drag position. There are 2 main aspects of climbing specific endurance: anaerobic lactic endurance and aerobic endurance. I'll start by targeting anaerobic lactic endurance, which is that pumpy style of endurance. First, I note that the lead climbing session that I already have planned will target this, albeit somewhat inefficiently, because when you're climbing with friends, you have to belay them as well, so you can't strictly control your rest times, and many times you fall off for reasons other than losing your strength. So again, for a dedicated session on this, I'm going to use the hangboard so that climbing technique is never the limiting factor. So for this, the specific exercise I've chosen is endurance 7-3 repeaters done in a pyramid fashion. So for those who don't know, basically you take 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and in the minute on, you're pulling hard for 7 seconds, taking a 3-second rest, and so on for a minute, and then taking a minute's rest. The work intervals gradually get longer and longer, but the rest stays the same. The idea is that you ramp up to a top set, which is really challenging and pumpy, and then you try to recover as you work your way back down. Finally, we choose our sessions for balance or antagonists. I'm a bit of a special case in this one, in that in addition to climbing, I also do full body strength training. So for me, the antagonist work is actually already covered in this. Specifically in my program right now, I'm doing some pushing, such as overhead press and dips, in order to counteract all the pulling that's inherent in climbing. I'm doing dumbbell external rotations for the rotator cuff, and doing hammer curls for the forearm extensors. If I wasn't already doing those, I'd try to add these on at the end of my max strength sessions. Finally, for some extra balance, I want to have some upper body specific recovery sessions. Some people like to do this as just really low level climbing, or arcing as it's called. However, I find that this adds too much load to my fingers and I just don't recover well from it. So on a rest day, instead of doing easy climbing, what I do instead is do some juggling or play some ping pong. Both of these use the arms and hands completely aerobically at a very low intensity, but through a wide variety of movements. Plus, I really enjoy them, so it doesn't feel like work. The next step is to take all of these sessions and actually schedule them. So I've written out all of my sessions on the left and made a rough calendar here on the right, and now we'll just try to see where everything fits. So we want to work from the activities that have the most constraints to the activities that have the least constraints. So for me, lead climbing, I need a partner to belay me when I do this, so we'll schedule that one first. It turns out that most of my friends tend to be available on Monday nights, so we'll schedule that one first. So we've got Monday night lead climbing. Now what? For bouldering, I like to be pretty well rested for this one, so let's give a full day of rest on Tuesday and try to do that Wednesday evening. I think you can see where this is going. Our bonus climbing sesh will fit nicely on Friday, but again, if I have Friday night plans, then I can skip this. So now, where to fit the max hangs? Ideally, it would be far from the bouldering, because the bouldering also uses my max finger strength. So I could try to put it in on, say, Saturday, but then where do I put the next one? Monday? I definitely don't want it Sunday. So it looks like I've sort of run out of days if I really want to have full rest days. So based upon my own experience, I find that I prefer to do 2-a-day sessions with some good recovery time in between, and then have a full rest day as opposed to cramming sessions in every single day. I find that that works the best for me, but it might not be the best for you. So I could do max hangs before my bouldering, and then maybe max hangs before my bonus climbing. Then I only have 1 day of rest between my max hangs, and it'd probably be better to have a little bit more. So instead, I think what I'll do is move the max hangs to Monday morning, and we'll do Friday morning. That way I get 4 days or 3 days of rest between. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. And that leaves my finger endurance session, which I can do Wednesday morning. So then I basically got 3 training days per week, and everything else is just recovery. Although the bonus climbing session might happen Saturday or Sunday, and some weekends I'll go climbing on the weekend and probably skip the Monday session. But you get the idea. So for my recovery sessions, I'll just do them Tuesday and Thursday. And the thing with the recovery sessions is they're meant to be short and relaxed, and it's not hard training. So this could be playing ping pong with my friend on Tuesday evening and juggling a little bit while I watch TV on Thursday. Nothing super important. If I forget to do it, then just resting that day will be really good too. But that looks pretty good. Basically, I have 4 days a week where I'm not planning to do anything. So it has a nice amount of flexibility to schedule around, the other things in my life, which may be more important. But I have all of the specific training I want. I'm targeting my weaknesses. I'm working on my antagonists. I'm recovering, and it practically fits my schedule. And those are all the most important things for a training plan. Success. So the final step is auto-regulation. The previous 5 steps all happen before you start the training plan, and auto-regulation is everything that happens after. This is an extremely important part. You want to avoid that classic habit of just sticking to a plan even when it's obvious that that plan is not working. You do not need to go down with a sinking ship. Just patch the leak as soon as you notice it. If something about the plan is not working, cut it out and try something else. You're going to have to iterate on this. For instance, with the max hangs, I started off doing 4 sets of 10 reps. However, after about 2 weeks, I started to notice that my fingers were hurting a little bit after the sessions, and also it was just taking too long. So I dropped it down to just 1 set, but instead of doing straight reps, I'm doing them in a rest-pause fashion. So I'm lifting every 5 seconds, alternating left and right until failure. Like this, I'm able to get 20 to 30 reps in under 5 minutes. So thanks for sticking around. I hope it's helpful to see the actual process I use when making a training plan. In another couple months, we'll know how my training plan worked, and I'll share that with you folks too. Take care and have a great day.